Men aren't forged in comfort. Masculinity is born in the furnace of affliction. It's in suffering that the boy dies and the man is reborn. The Puritans had a doctrine, the early settlers of America, that in order to be able to ascend, you first had to descend. In other words, you had to go on the hero's journey. You had to go into the darkness. Now, there was a risk that if you went into the darkness, you might not come out. You might get lost in the pain, in the trauma, in the suffering. You might get lost in victimhood. But the only way ultimately to ascend was to go through that process of descent. And ultimately, you could only ascend as high as you descended. That's the hero's journey. That's the furnace. But here's the truth. You cannot ascend until you first descend. You cannot taste resurrection until you first taste death. And Christ himself showed this, that suffering is the catalyst for rebirth. So when it gets dark, when it feels like hell itself is aligned against you, don't quit, don't run, don't stop. Put one foot in front of the other, because it is in the arena that the man is crowned, where scars are forged into strength and where despair is transformed into destiny. Psalms 23:4, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Brother, the valley is not the end. It's the passage. And the furnace is not your grave. It is your rebirth. Men aren't.
So tell me, brother, what did you hear there, and how does it relate to the Kingsmen?
Well, kind of goes back to just, I think that verse in Romans, like suffering builds perseverance, perseverance builds character, and then eventually hope. And I think when I'm listening to that, I'm hearing that, a lot of us, when we especially fight alone, either in business, life, our faith life, our marriage, I come especially to this point where, that feels like a lot of pressure. It feels a little uncomfortable. And if I don't have brotherhood to keep me accountable and remind me of where I'm going and why I'm going there, sometimes it's so easy to like fall back to what it was normal. Personally for me, like when it comes to like marriage, like I don't like to suffer in my marriage. And, he's making it look like very masculine and hardcore. But I think for me, it's like the little stuff in life. Like when I'm having a disagreement with my wife or we're having a conflict, I don't want to suffer sometimes and sleep on the couch. I don't want to suffer and have this uncomfortable conversation. But when I'm around brothers and they remind me like, hey, Jesus taught us to lead our wife, to die, give up our life. I'm reminded like, okay, my life is our routine together, the things that are comfortable. But in brotherhood, it reminds me, it puts me back in perspective. My conversations with you or the other people, it sheds light like maybe I'm just choosing comfort right now. I'm choosing what's predictable, what I know, my bed, my routine, our conversations with my wife together, and I have to be willing to suffer through that. And I think it's, it doesn't have to be this mass physical thing, because I can do physical hard things, but it's the other things in life that's harder to suffer for me sometimes. And I think it's for a lot of people, sometimes it's not completely physical, but the King's men, the way we set it up too is that we're choosing the suffering together because we're choosing to bow to the King so that we can rise. And we got a decent bow before we can rise up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let me hit on something very specific that you said, because I think this can relate to many men. When you said you have to suffer and sleep on the couch, I think that's bullshit. Think about this. We've created a culture. Mm-hmm. If you guys get in a fight, the men sleep on the couch. Why isn't she sleeping on the couch? Think about this. Why isn't she sleeping on the couch? Why do you have to go on the couch? You're not a king. Here's the question. Why is anybody sleeping on the couch? It says, do not let the sun go down in your anger. The suffering is working it out. The suffering is having conversation with her and saying, hey, this is not working. The suffering is being a leader and taking the consequence of that. And nobody sleeps on the couch. Because we're not going to let the devil put a foothold in our marriage. We're not going to let the sun go down with our anger. We're going to talk about it. I don't think most men have ever given the tools to have a compassionate collision. And actually, let's put it down here in the link. We have a process form that I think it's, 7-10 steps take you 5-10 minutes, save you 5-10 years of suffering. It's called compassionate collision. It helps you just walk through the conversation of the impact of the fight and argument. And it's not only for you, men. Take it and give it to your wife next time you get a fight. Both you guys fill it out, come back together, have the conversation. But think about this, Danny. I am sick and tired. Man, I think the days are numbered. I mean, in my lifetime, I think we're going to see shit that we should not see. I mean, I know it's written in scripture. I don't want to see it. I don't want my kids go through it. I don't want my grandkids go through it. But we're going to go through hell. We're going to suffer. We really are. But my question is, are we suffering because we bowed to the king and did it his way? Or are we just suffering because we're going through circumstances? Mm-hmm. See, men in general, I was listening yesterday, Diary CEO, Tony Robbins was on there, and man, that guy is just, to me, an amazing man of God. I mean, he's just amazing in the sense of his heart, what he's done, where he wants to go. But he says one key thing that stopped me while I was listening to him. He says, I hate suffering. And he doesn't want other people to suffer. And I thought, the reason it stopped me, because I hate suffering too, but I want us all to suffer. Because like you said, without suffering, we don't understand perseverance. Without perseverance, we can't grow character. Without character, we can't have hope. And I think this Christian generation is missing hope because we haven't suffered. We avoid suffering. We avoid, like you said, discomfort. Mm-hmm. And so, I don't know, the video, again, I had another video to show you. We watched that one randomly because I just want to have authentic conversation. But I love it. I love it. I love the fact that he brought out that we have to suffer. And without suffering, we can't go through the valley. Don't run from it, run into it. Mm-hmm. And most specific, again, we believe transformations in the details, and pulling from your story is a common expression all men say. And they say it so nonchalantly. Ready? Yeah, I slept on the couch again last night. Why? Well, I didn't want to cause a fight. I want to keep the peace in the house. That didn't have no peace. How's that peace? You're on the fucking couch.
Yeah.
How is that peace? You just avoided argument. You avoided leadership. You avoid the whole night. She's thinking, where is my man? Now she has to put on the masculine energy and be the king of the kingdom that she's made to be a queen of. Think about that. There is no way you could tell me sleep on the couch helps, because God says, do not let the sun go down on your anger. Because what do we do if we do that? We give a foothold to the devil. Then we start thinking, oh, how many nights have I done that? Shit, you let me be angry overnight. Next day, she is the devil. And I got 10 evidences of past history to prove it. You know what I mean? Versus manning up and having a conversation, resolving the issue. And I got one simple step to do it. You want to resolve and not even get into conflict? Hold each other's hands as much as possible. Sitting, talking, hold hands. Driving, hold hands. There's something, I read it on the chemistry of in our hands when we touch each other. It builds, I forgot what it's called. Not endorphins, cortisone, I think it is. But anyways, it builds it between each other.
It's not cortisol, because we don't want cortisol.
Okay.
I think it was endorphins, or
it's something that makes you feel
serotonin.
safe with each other. Yeah. Maybe, but the point is, I'm not a doctor. You are.
Yeah, I forgot my
hormones. It brings
hormones.
you guys close together, and so Donna and I hold hands everywhere now. I mean, because I'm avoiding a fight, and if I can't hold her hand, it's a signal.
Yeah, or she doesn't hold your hand. She's like, "Get off my hand."
All right, let's just close this part because I just want this to be a conversation where men can relate and see themselves in it, but also get our perspective, get our stripe on the beach ball, get our different voice into it. But suffering, let's just talk. You have a son who just graduated. You have set up the best independent way for him to grow, and I really respect that. But most people are going to say, like, you're making him suffer. What? He, in high school, had to pay for his own gas, now his own insurance, and now he's going on vacation with his buddies, and you're like, yeah, work for it, buddy. You just graduated. I'm like, holy crap. Even for me, I was like, dude, give him some money. You know what I mean? I mean, you're not hurting, buddy. You know what I mean? But it's more than that immediate gratification. You're teaching him character and perseverance. But for me, even that hurt because I know and I love your son. I was like, man, he just graduated. Let me have a little fun. Well, you took him to Southeast Asia. We rode motorcycles. You did. But this is teach him character, and he's suffering. Tell us a little bit about his trip he's going on and how you're just letting him own it.
Yeah. So we have a wedding in California. It's actually your son. He's getting married. My oldest son just graduated high school last week. It's about a week ago. And so we said we had this, I created a whole kind of schematic of him the last 2 years before graduation, what graduation looks like, 6 months afterwards, 12 months, blah, 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 blah. So it's like a ladder of where his life is kind of going. So he has maybe like a little bit of expectations, but he's turning 18. It is a family wedding, and it's not. It's like, I want him to go. I want to pay for his ticket. I want to make sure he has a great time. I want to go celebrate your son's wedding as well. But I wanted him to own it. I wanted him to invest in relationships. I want him to say yes to himself. And so I told him, it's like, hey, you're graduating now. We talked about you're a man. You get to take care of stuff. I'm still here to help you transition. I said, but if you want to go to this wedding, I mean, I'll cover the hotel, if you can go, but you're responsible for the plane ticket. And I was like, you're responsible for a plane ticket. So you can pay half. I said, you can pay half. I'll pay half of it. Because he's a graduate, so I don't want him to like take everything out of his pocket too. But I want him to start investing in relationships and choosing how to use his money to invest it. So, anyways, I was like, so it's up to you. You let me know by this deadline, blah blah blah. And so he went and bought his own ticket. You learn how to book his flight. I mean, I said, hey, if you need help, just let me know. He asked, hey, so when's your flight? When are you guys leaving? And so he did. He took his money. He bought his own plane ticket, and he created his whole experience for himself when he goes to California. It's like, he's not just going, he's going to go spend time with Caleb. He's going to go spend time and have fun as a family together. But he's staying there about 2 or 3 days even afterwards. And he created his own adventure. He's meeting up with a couple of friends. They're going to go out to eat. And he's doing it because he wants to. He's doing it because he's choosing to. So he's making the most out of it versus, it's mom and dad's wedding, it's family wedding. So I'm just going to go, I'm just going to hang out and, do whatever. But versus getting to create his day, get to create his weekend. And he's just so excited. He's just, this is where we're going to go eat. This is where we're going to go hang out. This is where I'm going to be staying at. So it's just small things like that didn't start from anywhere. Like, I was teaching him even at the age of, I think it was like 6th grade, he would ride his, bicycle to school. And one of his neighbors, he let his neighbors borrow his bike. They broke the pedal. He broke the pedal, and he didn't want to have that conversation with his neighbor, So I was like, okay, you're not going to have that conversation. This goes 3 ways. You either have that conversation, and they said they're not going to cover it. It's all on you, blah, blah. And said, I will help pay for that pedal to be repaired, because at least you have that hard conversation. Or you can avoid it and you can buy a new bike. So for 3 months, he rode his bike to school with one pedal. And it got like progressively harder every single month until I was like, screw it. It's like, I almost died, I almost fell over, almost, blah, blah, blah. He said, I'm buying a new bike. Because he wanted to avoid the conversation. But shit, did he really truly value his bike and the stuff that he bought afterwards? Yes. And anyone that want to borrow something, he's like, okay, if you're going to do this, this is the rules. These are the guidelines. You know what I mean? So it's just this gradual scale over time of, giving him more responsibility, letting him own more of it. So it started way back when, but now it's to him traveling and creating his own business and creating the life he wants and buying his own ticket to California,
And I'm sure most people are asking, where the hell is he getting money if he just graduated? You invested in him since 6th grade to do odd end things. And in the last 2 years before he graduated, he started like almost a handyman. He's passing out flyers in the neighborhood. Whatever you need done, mow yard, cut grass, clean windows. I was like, what the hell?
This is amazing.
Buddy? And just watching him evolve from every little thing. And now he's doing social media videos, right? My goodness. He has grown up to be an incredible young man who takes full responsibility. But in that journey, there's suffering 2 ways I hear. One, the suffering he had to have the hard conversations, the suffering of maturing, growing up, being a man and responsible, right? And holding other people responsible who is in his life. Second, the other suffering, less obvious, is you. Because I guarantee, just because I know your family, I know your wife, but I guarantee just by you not buying him a new bike right away, you not paying for it, you and your wife had to have the tough conversations like, my baby, come on, why you make my baby?
Oh my
So
God.
you had to suffer.
Yeah, because she wants to take care. And our kids are they're great
course,
kids.
all moms,
You
right?
want to do it for them, because you feel so bad. You're like, it's not that big of a deal. Like for me, it's like nothing. It's nothing. I do it. I'm buy the ticket. It's nothing on my end, but it's just like, but I would just be, I would be not be doing him a service. And my wife grew up very, I wouldn't say sheltered, but sheltered. She was two girls, single
Princess
mom,
getting
so she
everything.
was a princess. She was taken care of. So having freedom and suffering was not a part of her upbringing. So it was, for a long time, it was so hard for her to understand. I don't understand. Why would we do this to them? We need to do our best. Like we need to take care of them, protect them, and blah blah. I was like, no, I want them to hurt because they're men and I want them to grow up to be mature. And without that component, it's not going to work. And so yeah, we had conversations after conversation after conversations. And still to this day, she's like, Jane, did you buy your ticket? Did you do that? It's like, whoa, calm down. It's like, stop. He will let us know when he needs support or clarity and things, but don't remind him. Stop. Don't. She does it with the best intentions, Yeah, don't coddle him. He's like, this is a grown man. He bought his own car. He started his own business. You don't think he can buy his own ticket, But it's so hard for moms. They're so nurturing, and my wife is such a loving, nurturing, just a great supportive mom and wife. So she just hates seeing him suffer. And this one time, we took him out to the. There was this time he needed some clarity. And I just had it on my heart. I was like, he needs to spend time with God by himself. He needs time alone to figure out God, listen to God without distractions. So I told my wife, it's like, hey, I have it on my heart. I'm going to drop him off at this park. He's going to spend the night there, set up his own camp, make his fire. He's going to prepare everything start to finish. If he forgets his food, he's not eating. He forgets his water, he's not drinking. And I said, but he needs time to be with God by himself. And she almost passed out. She went work. She's like, he's gonna die. Someone's gonna kill him. He's just gonna get kidnapped. But rightfully so. Any parent,
Okay,
And,
how old was he at that time?
I think he was like 16 years old. 16,
Okay, now watch
17,
this.
maybe
Just so everybody can
16
see
something.
how crazy
Yeah.
you are, which is a good, because we have the masculine energy and feminine energy, and she's bringing all her feminine energy, which is needed, keeps us safe, right? We're not demonizing moms and their nurturing self. We're acknowledging it.
Yes.
He is 16. You had this on your heart. You take him off to a park, drop him off, spend the night, eat, cook for yourself. God bless you. I'll see you in the morning, right?
Yeah.
Have you, prior to that, took him camping 5-6 times, whatever, show him how to set up a tent, show him how to start a fire, helped him cook and do all that prior to this?
Ever since he was 4 or 5 years old, we'd do solo camping trips with him and I. He would help me make the tent. So I prepared him for years to be able to know how to take care of himself on a campground. Like I said, I was just like, hey, here's the date, here's the time. You bring whatever you need to bring to stay alive. I'm not going to tell you what to bring. I was like, make sure you have, if you need a list, I can give you a list. He went. He asked his friend to take him to Walmart. He picked up his own food, got his own gear, things like that. He used our family camp stuff. But he took care of it and he loaded it, and he was like going back on his list. Okay, make sure I got this, this, and this. But I prepared him for it for years.
What did he need to hear God from that you sent him out there? What was he going through at 16?
He was he felt lost. He's like, I don't know, he was comparing himself a lot. He's like, I don't know what I want to do with my future. I don't know this thing called faith. I don't know this thing called God. I hear about it. We go to church, and he's like, but I just feel very anxious about it. And I have all this stuff in my head, things like that. But he was just, as a 16-year, you're constantly bombarded with so many things like media electronics, friends, school, this voice, this person, that person, your grandparents, it's just all of these voices. You're like, oh my God, which one's right? Which one's wrong? Like, who am I at the age of 16? You still haven't built your, confidence about who you are yet. And so he needed to, in my heart, I was like, he needs everything to be quiet, because I don't think he's ever taken time just to be quiet with himself. And the Bible says, be still and know that I am God. And I was like, man, God, how can I lead my son right now? What do you need from me for him? I was like, what do you need? And he's just like, still, quiet, be in the, he just needs to hear me. And I was like, well, what's the one way to make sure he hears you? It's like, take everything else away. But I didn't say, hey, this is what you're going to do. I was like, hey, son. I was like, son, I know you're going through this time and you're so confused. There's so many options. There's so many voices in your head. And I was like, would you be open to doing what it takes to get clarity? And he's like, well, what would it take? I said, no, son. Would you be willing to do whatever it takes to get clarity? And he goes, yeah, Dad, I'll be willing to do it. I was like, okay, this is the game plan. And he's like, okay, let's do it. And so I got his buy-in from it. But he needed to hear God in the context of his relationship with God, not with what I said, not with what the church said, not what his mom, grandparents, not what the world said. He just needed to experience God for himself, because God's that generous. So I was like, if I put him out there, God's going to show up. It's just, I don't know how it's going to show up, So, so that's what we did. It was amazing, like it was so great for him. He still talks about to this day.
I love it. So let's wrap this up. So we're talking about suffering, and we're laughing right now because we've suffered.
Yeah.
So suffering is to not only do we create space for, in this context, your son to suffer and be mature and be a man and hear God for himself, but you had to suffer from your wife's natural need to nurture and take care of her son. But then she suffered because now she's going to have to trust God that he's not going to get kidnapped, murdered, and all this. I mean, so we can't suffer alone.
Yeah.
Anytime we suffer, everybody suffers with us as in our influence. Different degrees, different intensity. But everybody suffers. But when we avoid the suffering, no one levels up.
Yeah.
It's never the mess up.
Stays the same.
Yep. It's never the suffering or the mess up that levels us up. It's a cleanup from the mess up that levels up. It's the time your son spent alone that leveled him up. So when we avoid suffering, we avoid expanding. We avoid growing closer to Christ. We avoid trusting God more. We avoid leading our relationships. So there is such a penalty for not suffering and staying in our comfort zone and staying safe. So I really appreciate you sharing that. We're going to do more of these short videos, but I just want to have a conversation, like experiment. I told everybody that I'm talking to, we're going to experiment. And their feedback can tell us how to pivot, go more. So you want to see more of these short little conversations, authentic conversations, comment below. But of course, to help us grow and influence other men, we need you to like the video, follow, and we'll go move from there. So thanks again, Danny. Thanks for being my partner. Thanks for going on this journey. And thanks for giving it away. Love you, brother.
Love you too.